We are recording.
All righty.
Great. Hello. So do you want me to share my screen or did you guys want to pull up the PowerPoint? It doesn't matter.
Why
I'm
don't you
just
go
gonna,
ahead and share your screen so that
okay.
everybody, because I think a lot of our guests did not get the PowerPoint. All of us got it, but
Yeah.
and also when we get recorded, it'd be great if we had that on there.
Yes.
Are we allowing Melissa to share her screen? Is there a way to do that, or does she do that automatically?
I'm pulling it up first on my computer. I do want to apologize. So I live next to a railroad track. So I really hope there's no train that passes during this. And then our one of our fire alarms, that's what they're called. It's beeping and needs its battery replaced. So if you hear a beep in the background occasionally, that is me. I'm sorry. Come on. Oh, okay, now I have the PowerPoint pulled up. Let me share my screen. Can you guys see it? Mm, whoops. Okay. So this is just our introduction. But hi, my name's Melissa Velasco. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. Like I said a little while ago, I am wanting this to just be a open discussion primarily, but I am going to hit a few key points here. So I am a registered nurse, a licensed registered nurse. I have a bachelor's of science in nursing, and my specialty is in oncology nursing. So that is what that OCN is. It's an oncology certified nurse. So I want to point out that I'm not an endometriosis expert, but I do live with the disease, and I share a lot of things on my website, 86theendo.com, just primarily education. And I just want to, promote advocacy and education in our community. I am the founder of 86theendo.com. I recently, last year, joined the advisory board of the Endometriosis Foundation of Houston. So happy to be invited to do that. So thank you for that. This past month in December, I launched and released the 8060 Endo Weekly Planner, which we'll discuss later. And there will be a free giveaway at the end today. So we'll talk about that. And then, like I said, I am a patient, an endometriosis patient. I've suffered with the symptoms for 15 years before officially being diagnosed in 2017, and that was through an ablation surgery, which I wasn't even aware that that was the wrong kind of surgery at the time, and it made my symptoms just spiral out of control. Prior to that surgery, I had painful periods, but they weren't debilitating. They didn't affect my ability to work. And anyway, the surgery just made my overall health go downhill. And I finally had excision surgery in May of this last year with Dr. Guan. And so I'm 8 months out now and feeling so much better. I do struggle with other chronic symptoms that are not related, and we're still trying to figure those out. But I'm just happy to be where I am today. And I want to thank Dr. Guan because I think he's here today. So thank you so much. um, let's see. And then also disclaimer, like I said, I'm not an endometriosis expert. Everything that we're discussing today, I just want to be sure that you guys understand that this is more for informational purposes and support. You should not use what I say as a substitution for professional medical advice. I'm not your nurse. I am a nurse, but I don't know your medical history. So just keep that in mind. And then also, being that I am a practicing RN in a hospital, I just want to point out that my thoughts and everything I say today doesn't necessarily reflect what the thoughts of my employer or any institution or organization I'm affiliated with. So there's that. Hi, Nancy. I see you there. um, so, like I said, I want it to be an open discussion. I did write a blog post for the Endometriosis Foundation of Houston that just went live yesterday, and so it kind of hits on these points. But primarily, I mean, I understand that, we all live with these diseases. We suffer with a lot of pain, and it makes it difficult to set goals, and resolutions can be intimidating or make you feel less than, and it can bring up a whole bunch of feelings and emotions. So basically, I want to say that yes, you can set goals, you can set resolutions, but there should be some caveats to that. And the biggest thing and the most important thing is giving yourself some grace. So I want to speak about that with everybody and just kind of see what y'all think about. There's a train passing by and it's like making me nervous. Like I said, I live by a train. But I want to hear everybody's perspective on just this first topic of giving yourself some grace when it comes to setting goals and making resolutions. So would anybody like to share?
Do you want us to chat or talk loud?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah, let's chat.
So that's one thing that I really struggle with. I'm an all or nothing person. I have to be perfect. Otherwise, I have a hard time following through. So giving myself some grace is really, really challenging. Like last year, I went gluten-free right after the new year. And I have been perfect because I have to be perfect. Because if I'm not perfect, it's just a slippery slope for me. Like I can't control myself. And that's something that I definitely have to work on because I went gluten-free, but that's as far as I've gone. Like I haven't started eliminating dairy because I'm like, well, it's that all or nothing. And I can't do that with dairy. I can't do that with sugar. So I think that one that you talk about is a really important one for me, just with making goals for myself, whether it's a New Year's resolution or just in general.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm very type A. I'm very goal driven. I'm an overachiever at heart, and honestly, my husband helps keep me in check because I will try to sign up for things that are too much for me to handle, but I don't realize it until it's gotten to the point where the stress is just out of control. And I love setting those goals, and I struggle with it too, which is a big reason I wanted this to be an open discussion, because I'm not an expert at this, but I try every day to give myself some grace, because with this disease, it's not impossible to achieve goals, but it does mean that you have to kind of step back sometimes and just let yourself deal with the symptom. Well, not deal, but handle the symptoms, manage them, and then once the flare lets up or you feel a little better, continue with your goals. It just means you might have some setbacks, or the timeline may be longer. So you just need that flexibility.
I think like having New Year's resolution is always so tricky for me, because if you don't make them and if you don't stick with them, then you really feel like a failure. And with this disease, you miss out on so much. So you're like, okay, if I can't even stick with just going gluten free, then you feel like, well, what else is going to go wrong? I kind of have to get out of that mentality. So I think it's not the resolutions or the goals necessarily, but it's just that mentality of like, if I don't do them, I'm still going to miss out on something. And because I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate to this, but we've all missed out on major events, or even just like everyday events where you're like, I can't do this. So this year, my goal is very simple: be kinder, be a little more practical, and just be more focused. And that's it. Like, I'm keeping it very general so that I do give myself some grace and
Yeah, I
not
think,
pressure,
yeah,
have that
yeah.
pressure.
I think in general it is really tough
Discouraged, yeah.
to set goals, and then when you don't meet them, personally I would just spiral. I'd set a goal for myself and I'd be like, this is what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get there. And then because I pushed myself so hard, my body, it just, I couldn't handle it. There was a lot of times when I'm like, okay, I'm planning my entire week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything. I'm going to have something set. And then by Tuesday, I'm broken. And, before it would be like, well, I'm broken. This is all my fault. I don't know why I do this. Like, I'm a failure. And this year it's been really tough, right? Because we've all been going through this pandemic. But I've learned a little bit about that. It's about understanding that, yeah, that's going to happen, but it's not a failure. It's not. It's absolutely not. Like Melissa said in her blog post, you set goals, and then if you don't get them, it's okay. I think it's okay, and you just continue on, and you're not failing. This is how your body is, right? You just have to live with that, I think.
It's just a constant adjustment and handling the symptoms, managing them, and then moving on. But just adjusting and being flexible with what you want to achieve.
Right. So my psychology background is coming up here, but this makes me think of successive approximations. Like when you're doing behavioral training, like if you're training a bird to press a button, like it steps toward the button, you give it a treat. It takes another step toward the button, you give it a treat. It sort of pokes its nose near the button, you give it a treat. Like it's not meeting the goal, but you're still rewarding it. You're still encouraging it. And maybe that's something that we need to do with ourselves. Like every step toward the goal is a good thing, and you need to give yourself a pat on the back, even if you're maybe not perfectly meeting it. If that analogy makes sense.
No, it does. I love it.
Something that I do that helps me just daily is setting like a to-do list. I thrive off of like my to-do list and getting things done. And so having sorting my to-do list to where there's like things that I have to get done today or things that are a lower priority, so that I can check some of those lower priority things off of the list. And it makes me feel like I've accomplished something for the day. If I don't get everything checked off, that's fine. At least I know that I did something today. So that's helped me feel like I've gotten something accomplished.
I wonder if giving yourself some grace might include planning something that's joyful. In other words, I hear you all talking about things I have to do. What about things you might really enjoy doing that you put on hold because of your illness or the disease or, whatever? I always try to remind people that dust doesn't spoil. If you don't get things dusted or you don't get things done, they'll be there at another time. Maybe it's okay to give yourself some grace, to find something fun, create joy.
That's perfect, and that actually kind of leads us into the second topic. And my point there is avoiding resolutions that induce anxiety and choosing resolutions that give you like a source of empowerment and add value to your life. So that was a perfect transition. Thank you, Nancy. But for me, my blog honestly has been so gratifying and a great hobby where that I enjoy, and it also still gives me a lot of fulfillment, and it's rewarding with the people that have contacted me. So that's something that I truly enjoy. And let's say I don't get something done, sometimes I'll just let that go and then do stuff on my blog. So yes, that was a good point.
I just want to kind of piggyback on that. I personally deal with a lot of anxiety, and I do feel like in the past I have set goals that are completely unachievable. I think it's self-sabotaging, and recently it's been more of, let's take more walks with my dog. Let's go to the dog park. And I actually enjoy those things because then I can bring an audiobook or an actual book or listen to a podcast. And it's kind of like a time to decompress. And like Nancy said, those are fun things. Fun things for me. Those, things that kind of they're not anxiety inducing, right? They're a little more relaxing. They're a little bit a time to kind of reflect, meditate, be a little more mindful of how I'm feeling, my body, my mind, everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback a little bit off of what you said, Michelle, even, you know, I think mental health too sometimes gets wrapped up into it. So I went undiagnosed with a few different mental illnesses for a while, and they would lead me to these grandiose resolutions that I would set for myself that literally my body couldn't do. And then when I couldn't do them, I would just have a complete breakdown. And the last year it started off really, really bad. And I started, I got put on some medication. And so I can set better goals for myself. But it was really hard being in pain, working in healthcare, like I'm sure everybody here, and also having all of this crushing anxiety and OCD. And it was so this year I am setting easier and better goals for myself to achieve. And I'm hoping I can at least achieve one of them, but I really just need to look at that number one of give myself some grace. This was a much needed talk today.
I think also to reduce anxiety is to also learn how to set boundaries, right? Like that's probably one of the hardest things because of that fear of missing out. You want to say yes to everything because you're like, well, if I don't say yes today, and if I don't do it today, because tomorrow I may not have the energy or anything to do it or whatever it is, right? So that's been a big lesson for, I think, many of us, which is to set boundaries. And especially with the pandemic, it's kind of helped ushered and ease my way to setting boundaries a lot easier because you're like, well, I'm stuck at home. Sorry, I can't go. So yeah, it's been a blessing in disguise in that sense for me, at least.
Yeah, I love that. And, we always want to kind of set those goals and resolutions that are, for example, like I gave on my the blog post, like you want to eat better or prepare meals, meal preps for the week, and you find yourself in a day of really bad fatigue or severe pain, and so then you go back to your previous diet because you don't have the energy or the ability to cook yourself those meals that are within this endometriosis diet or whatever diet you may be following. But that's where it goes back to giving yourself some grace. This is just one day where you might, you might have lapsed in the goal and the resolution, but like I pointed out in the blog post, there are 365 days in the year. Like, just take it day by day and get back on track when you can, and not putting so much pressure on yourself to complete those goals within that certain amount of time, or make even putting pressure on yourself to get back on track tomorrow. Maybe it isn't tomorrow, maybe it's next week. Yeah.
Right. And I forget which doctor brought this up, but this is a sentiment I've seen a couple of times, when it comes to, like, a lot of us have the goal of eating better, to use your example. If your goal is to eat better to help your symptoms, stressing out about messing up or, falling off the wagon kind of defeats the purpose of eating better to help your symptoms. Because if you're doing something and you are having anxiety because you're not doing it perfectly, that anxiety, that stress is going to just hurt your symptoms even more. So there's no point in it when you get to that point. Going back to, don't do things that are going to increase your anxiety.
Yeah. And I think I found with myself, if I put that pressure on myself or that blame on myself to eat better, and then I don't eat better, and I kind of get mad at myself, I feel like my symptoms are worse in that sense. So same point. Mm-hmm. Did anybody else want to mention that or talk about the anxieties of resolutions? Okay, so the third point is a common one. Find a buddy, find a partner in whenever you do just decide what you want to focus on for the year or for yourself in general. Finding a buddy can be difficult, especially in the setting of endometriosis, because not everybody understands what we are going through. So if you don't have somebody local to you, somebody within your family or your circle of friends that truly understands the challenges you face and how that might affect your goals and resolutions compared to them, if they have like a similar goal, let's say they also want to eat better, or maybe it's walk more often or whatever it may be, and they're doing it with you, but if they don't have endometriosis or a chronic pain condition or chronic illness, they may not understand those days where you need to take a step back and rest and then continue on. So finding a buddy who understands is really important. And I totally get that finding somebody local is not always feasible. So that is why our online endometriosis community is so incredible. And you might find that there is like a Facebook group, like the Houston area endometriosis Facebook group. There's one in your area or in your region or state where you can post and maybe let somebody know that you need an accountability partner or just a buddy to help support you. So that is a huge thing, but it's still going to always go back to giving yourself grace and making sure your partner knows that too.
I think when we make resolutions, a lot of the time it's about like a very concrete personal goal. And one thing I don't see people make as a resolution a lot of times is maybe just asking for help to go along with, finding a buddy or a community, but also being more open to asking for help from your family members, your, support network when you need it, and not, making yourself feel bad for asking for that support.
Allison, that is such a huge one for me. Oh my gosh, I don't ever ask for help. I hate asking for help. I feel like I just want to do it. I just want to be independent, and I know I can't. And then it gets spirally, and I just that one hit a nerve for me, Allison, because I but totally understand where you're coming from.
I think endometriosis is one of the most isolating diseases that we deal with in healthcare, because the old belief system that it's just a period, it's not that bad, you're making it up. The long standing dismissal, I think way back 30 years ago, Kate Weinstein wrote a book about understanding endometriosis, and her data showed that 75% of the patients have been dismissed as neurotic. And in our program at St. Charles, Good Sam, St. Charles, too many hospitals I've worked in. St. Charles, years ago, we surveyed patients that came, and we had the same data. 75% of them have been dismissed as neurotic, and they all had active disease. And so I think it's harder to reach out for support because of that history, and then the belief system that we're just dealing with a period rather than really painful peritoneal quality pain, painful disease.
I do wonder also, going along that, have we kept track with endometriosis specialists maybe in terms of whether they survey their patients before and after excision surgery? Like, for instance, with Dr. Guan, I had my surgery with Dr. Garza and then with Dr. Guan, and 3 years later, now I'm approaching 3 years post excision and hysterectomy. Like, my mental health has improved dramatically because I don't have, I mean, I still have a little bit of anxiety. I still deal with those things, but it's not as intense. And I'm able to deal with the anxiety a lot better than if I still had to deal with the pain along with it as well. I do wonder if we've ever even tracked that at all. But that's just something I thought of. But yeah, like, just, I think I always try to, I would like to improve my diet, going gluten-free and dairy-free, but I'm just so scared to even commit to it, because I know that if I fail or if I slip off, then I know it's going to hurt my body, and then I'm going to go through this whole spiral, and then it'll just be a disaster. But learning how to give yourself grace is really, really hard.
Yeah. I want to, just as a side note, and I know I do this too, but just hearing you talk about it and saying, like, dealing with it or dealing with the symptoms, I kind of want to challenge us to, and challenge myself too, to change that word, because it almost has a negative connotation to it. And I think maybe coping with it would be a better way to approach it, like finding coping mechanisms, and finding, because that kind of just says I'm actively pursuing interventions that would help me. I just wonder if that's something we should do more than like this dealing with it, because it makes me think of those times where physicians are like, oh, well, it's just something you need to deal with,
Yeah, that's a good point.
What are some, I was about to say, like, what are some ways to cope with these,
like, coping mechanisms to help? It's going to be individual to everyone. And I think the best people to help you with that are mental health professionals, because they'll help you dissect what you need individually. Of course, not everybody has access to that too. And for me, I find my coping mechanisms are things that I love to do and focusing on those. And then also giving myself grace. It's such a like a overused phrase, but it's very valid. And go ahead. I saw you come off mute, Allison. You were going to say something.
Yeah, well, and I think that, going back to finding a buddy, finding an online community, they can be really helpful for giving you ideas about what's working for them, what helps them cope with this illness. And also like having someone to talk to, that's a great way to cope. So, I think we sort of strayed away from that point, but it really is an important one to, like you said, have that community, have people that you can talk to about this disease and give you ideas.
Yeah, I agree. And kind of going off of that too, I feel like, I think Melissa, you had mentioned this earlier. Sometimes it is interesting to kind of find a buddy who doesn't necessarily have endometriosis, but has some other sort of chronic illness. Because I think sometimes some of the endometriosis communities can become a little bit of an echo chamber. So it's interesting to hear what people in, other chronic pain areas are doing. And I know that's something that's been very helpful for me. I don't have any close friends like in close proximity to me who have endometriosis, but I do have friends with other poorly understood chronic pain conditions. So that's been very eye-opening for me.
And just to kind of piggyback off of that, like some people become a little bit, what is the word I'm looking for? Like they're kind of wanting to one up you, like, oh, but I have this symptom, and or their endometriosis is worse.
Battle of the victims. I always call that battle of the victims.
Yes.
Yeah. Chronic pain Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you find like you can't, you're in that setting where whoever you're sharing your life with or your goals with, if you find that they become kind of combative or not combative, why can't I think of the word?
Competitive, maybe?
Competitive. Thank
yeah.
you. If they're becoming competitive, maybe it is ideal to find somebody outside of chronic illness, and maybe that's your opportunity to introduce them to what endometriosis is and educate somebody in your family or in your inner circle. In which case, Endo What? It's a great movie or documentary.
You went quiet. I think you're muted.
I saw Allison taking a picture, so I felt like I had to pose.
Oh, oh.
And just as a side note, for those who are tuning in from Houston, as Michelle pointed out in the chat, we do have a private group called the Houston Area Endometriosis Group, and we have members share their personal experiences and knowledge, and we are about 450 plus members now, and so it's a really great support group for those who are in Houston, and we have people from like pretty much all over Texas, just because we do have Dr. Guan as one of our specialists here in Houston that we talk about quite a bit.
Yeah. And we're good friends with the North Texas endometriosis group. So there's lots of crossover as well. But yeah, if you're somebody who's not from Texas, I definitely encourage you to look on Facebook for a group that might be in your area.
And of course, Nancy's group. If you have not joined, Nancy's Nook Endometriosis Education is probably the mecca for all things endometriosis. You will not get any, you won't be able to share your sob stories. That's not the place. This is an education place, and thankfully that is what it's meant for, because you can learn quite a bit about other people's experiences with proper care. So if you have not checked that out, it's a must.
Definitely. It's part of what set me on my back on track so that I could find a excision specialist and truly understand what my disease was, because I didn't know. And it's sad to say, just it just points out that even though I am in healthcare, even though I'm a registered nurse, like the misinformation is across the board. And I was in a place where I was still somewhat early in my nursing career. I was about 4 years into my nursing career, and I didn't realize the greater picture of the misinformation and the like injustice within the chronic system realm, a chronic illness realm. So it definitely opened my eyes, and I wish I would have learned about everything I know before I went into my first surgery. But that is where I was, and I learned afterwards, and I'm better now for it. But yeah, Nancy's Nook is a great resource.
Well, thank you for that. We have grown so large, we don't have the opportunity to have a lot of discussion back and forth because we don't have the manpower to correct the misinformation that can get out. So
Yep, I think
Yeah.
you are at over 100,000 members now. That's pretty amazing.
we are 100. Hang on just a second. I forgot to mute my phone. I'm sorry. About 122,000. I think we still have
Wow.
about 700 a week coming in who've pretty much failed multiple treatment options. We don't have anywhere near enough doctors that patients can access, but we're working on that. I don't have any real, big solutions on that, except that there are groups now starting to mentor surgeons to be more effective in the OR. So when you have a group of surgeons who are doing well, they're starting to work with newer MIGS surgeons so that they can get a better handle on what they run into in the operating room. And we're starting to see more team approach where surgeons have other resources available to help with extrapelvic disease and things like that. So that's exciting. But
So I think we're like a little less than 15 minutes out, and I wanted to go on to, let's see if I can do this. Talk about the planner that I created. And mainly because I feel like it can be helpful to people who are still trying to find the expert care, and even afterwards. This planner was made for all patients with endometriosis, and specifically for people with endometriosis or suspected endometriosis. So I'm so proud of the the responses I've received with it, and I just want to share that with y'all. And we're giving you guys the opportunity to get a free one today. But this is the planner. Let me grab it. So I made it so that you can track your symptoms, track your goals. You can track your periods, your menstrual cycles. If you are post hysterectomy, you can track your hormones if you wanted to. you can use it any way you want. It is made for you. It does have all of these things. I mean, I included many, many things to help you along your journey. And I hope that you find it helpful, and I'm excited that somebody gets to win one today. So I will let you guys do the giveaway part, I guess. I'm not sure how you wanted to do that.
We have Denitra who's
Yes,
going
that's
to.
perfect segue into our drawing. So thank you all for coming out and attending this. And we hope that you are able to get something that lessens the burden of living with endo. If you liked our giveaway post on our Facebook page, then we entered your name into the drawing twice. And so let's go ahead and get the winner here. And the winner is Kimberly. Kimberly.
Oh, hi, that's me. Oh my gosh,
Yay!
thank you.
Yay!
So excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited to use it. Thank you so much. It looks like a really, really comprehensive and helpful tool. I'm still kind of new. I've been having symptoms I've had symptoms for about 14 years, but I just was recently kind of started my journey like in October of last year. In the pandemic, which I thought was, just keeping things a little bit more exciting. But yeah, I just actually had my first laparoscopic surgery at the very end of last year. So kind of continuing to navigate all of this, and everyone's insight today about goal setting was super helpful. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to point out that the planner is meant to be used in conjunction with your healthcare providers. So it's definitely something you should take with you to an appointment, and not that a doctor has time to be flipping through pages or anything. So I have a specific layout in each month where you can comprehensively put everything together to show them how you've been managing and your symptoms and how your pain has been. So I hope that you really find it helpful, and it helps your doctors, or you could use it with pelvic physical therapy, a nutritionist, whoever you're seeing for your healthcare needs. I think it'd be beneficial for them to follow that as well. So I'm happy to send it to you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that you kind of considered so many different aspects because, as we all know, it's a comprehensive thing. It's something like very multifaceted where, you approach it with diet and exercise and physical therapy and all these different things. So I love that you incorporated all of those different aspects into it as well.
Thank you.
We have a little under 10 minutes left. So if anybody has any more questions for Melissa, now is the time about any topics that she talked about, or about her planner, or about anything else. Please do so.
And of course, for those of you who may have wanted one, they are for sale on my website. So 8060endo.com, you can find them there.
Melissa, will you post that link in the chat, please, so everybody can? Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Dr. Guang actually. I just want to thank you everyone. Marissa did a wonderful job. I really don't know. I know so there's many patients here. It's my patient. I'm honored I did join, want to understand your guys post-op. Actually, this planner is great. I think it's going to help not only for the patient, and I think definitely help us, as Marissa talked about, help us understand everything about the before surgery. I hope also help us understand after surgery how to manage it, manage the patient. So how manage the psychological problem and the pain problem. And actually, I was thinking about, since we have a huge group in Houston locally, so basically for the post-op management, right? There's a problem from as physician. You guys come to see me, always have my patients say, oh, Dr. Wang, I want to find psychiatrists who understand, or someone like a GI physician understand. So I don't know Nancy's here. I don't know other places have the same problem, looking for someone specialized in the endometriosis in other specialty. And the good news, I'm going to do in our MIS division, I'm going to recruit another 2 physicians join in as I'm going to see. One is my fellow, another one is from Lebanon. And we'll see, hopefully they're going to help us to build up we're going to create endometriosis centers here. I feel we like, as Nancy said, physician is very, very low lack of ratio compared to patient we have. In Houston, we have Houston, big, 4 big city in the country, right? We have so many patients. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry, so many of my patients could not reach me and could not get an appointment and sooner. And that's the way I tried looking for more physicians. I go to supervise them, and when they see to get to the same as a surgical level, I'm going to release to our society. And hopefully you guys help. Hopefully could benefit our Houston patient population. Actually, we not only taking care of Houston patients, we're taking a Texas and around area. A lot of patients coming to see me. I hope this is going to help everyone. And so grateful I can hear the first time. I really never joined you guys. First time joining and really understand, and you guys and so much trouble even after surgery. We never have time and to look into it. And this should be my next step. After I recruit a physician, we have more manpower can do the surgery. And also we're going to looking for how to set up kind of, hopefully Nancy can help us set up like how post-op management, like the planner, Marissa's planner can help us definitely. And then we do some research, we find out what's the best way we should handle the patient after surgery, after incision surgery. So for me now, we just let everyone go. I know I'm so sorry. So just finish surgery, bye-bye. That's not the way we're doing that way. So I think your planner, everything in the society, we're going to help a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you're looking for extra nursing help, I'm local.
Will be great.
Yeah, if you need team members for planning.
Social media, whatever
So
you need.
actually, we definitely need more nurses. I'm going to talk to them.
Well, you know how to reach me.
Yeah, I know how to reach you. And actually, I think you're more dedicated to actually not, I guess because you're a nurse, right? Like you know. And in our Doris Matt now is she's dedicated too. But when Doris Matt sick or Doris must go to somewhere, last time she had to leave because COVID, everything. She not got the COVID, but suspicious. She had to left, and no one want to be the nurse of mine.
Yeah.
And you believe that's why a lot of patients just cannot reach us because no one to take a phone call because they said Dr. Guan's patient too much. So many patients call every day. We cannot handle. And we don't know how to handle the patient say, oh, I have pain here. I still have pain. So I think if you're able to join us, will be great. I'm going to talk to them. I think that way, like you see, like Nancy, right? Everyone. So will be great for our society, I think, and great for Houston.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Guan.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for trusting. And I know I still not do a good job. I only try to do my best in the surgery. And now, first time I heard about post-op, still so much psychological problem and everything. We really need to find out. I think the Melissa's planner is a good start.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate everything you do, Dr. Guan.
Oh, Nancy, thank you. Nice seeing you.
You too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was great.
My heart.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Actually, really, I should join more. In the future, you have more activity. I'm going to join more. And I think this is what as physician, not only just taking care of the surgery. I was initially like Nancy, I was thinking about surgery is the best. I do a surgery, every patient will be fine. It's not true. Actually, I'm doing some research for pediatric adolescents post-op follow-up. I find out a lot of patients recurrence is very high. Even I almost do the standard surgery. If anything suspicious, we remove it all. But still, I don't know for the adult group, we're going to send out a survey. And actually, if everyone have a planner, so it would be great. We can collect the planner and do the survey and publish it, and it will help the future patients. But I just don't know how to deliver this planner to other patients. What's your plan, Melissa, for your wonderful planner?
We have things in the works that I can't really talk about.
Okay.
But the planner you can get online through my website.
Yeah.
And I mean, if people keep it and they want to submit it for research after they've used it for the year, that'd be a great start. But there's other things that I've been talking to people about.
And actually, you send me, do you have a card or anything put in a link I can give to my patient? So that way, and I always give our societies, children's societies to other patients, if not in there. And Nancy's always there are a lot of patients who join you guys because we tell patients these two groups. Actually, I only know Nancy's new group and the Houston Society group, so that's why.
Yeah. So I put my website and the plan, the link to the planner in the chat, but I'd be happy to send it over to your office too.
That would be great. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank so much everybody for coming. Thank you so much, Dr. Guan, for coming and being a guest here. And Nancy, thank you so much, Melissa, for your talk and for the planner. It is an amazing tool, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. So we appreciate you making that, and going to send everybody we can over to buy one because that's awesome. And thank you guys so much, all of you, for sharing and being with us today, and we appreciate it. And if any of my other foundation members have any,
cheers and happy health, good health to everybody. Dr. Guan, we will be reaching out to you.
Thank you, Dr. Guan.
So much.
Thank you,
And
Alison.
happy belated birthday, Nancy.
Yes, happy birthday. Thank you for coming, Nancy.
And everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. And just say cheers. Say bye.
Cheers.
What's it?
Cheers. Happy Saturday.
Well,
Happy Saturday.
great job. Great job. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Kimberly,
her
stick
info.
around. You got her info?
got her
Awesome.
info.
We
It's
want to
done.
get her that awesome planner.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
I'll see you next time.